Where did Maisha come from? So we're talking about turning a negative into a positive brand. Where did Maisha actually come from? Tell us a bit about how you started off.
Naturally, you attract people that are more older, and they tend to exploit you as well, because they realize that even though you act more mature, they know you still have that development.
Thinking about everything that you went through, you truly are strong. You are.
You'd moved from the Netherlands to the UK. I started hanging around with the wrong friendship groups. Again, I didn't want to get bullied because my English wasn't the best at the time. So yeah, my name is Maisha Sumah. Thank you so much for having me on the breakfast show. I'm really looking forward to being here today.
How are we doing, Robust family? And look, welcome. I know you're going to enjoy the episode coming up, and we have a lot more stuff on this channel. But before we engage on the new show, can I ask you to do me a small favor? Just robustly smash that subscribe and like button. It helps us a lot, and it makes sure that you do not miss a robust breakfast show beat. All right, enjoy. Good morning, it's that time, it's the break of dawning, and this is your breakfast show. I'm your host, Robert Ashitey, your robust presenter, and I'm going to be with you for the next 2 hours with that vim, gusto, and determination, all right? And joining me in the studios this morning, we have the lady of sound herself. It's the one, it's the only, it's Kathleen.
Good morning.
Kathleen, how you doing, Kat?
Hello.
Kat, I missed you yesterday, Kat. Yeah, I missed you. I missed your tint of awkwardness and your organization buzzing around that soundbar. I missed it yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Thank you.
But I know you all survived in the hood and stayed alive, right?
Yesterday was very calm.
It was calm.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It was very calm.
Yeah, what are you trying to say? Like
There wasn't much to do yesterday.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, I'll take that as it is. Yeah. Okay, great. That was great. Well, missed you too, Kat. You're awesome. All right, and I'm sure you're fully locked and loaded with some tracks for this morning.
Yes, I am.
All right, guys, and today's Tuesday on the Breakfast Show, and Tuesday is a Pursuit of Success day on the show where we look at tools, tips, and ideas to help us take the next step to achieve our definition of success. And today we have our special guest, Maisha Sumah, this morning. Good morning to you, Maisha. Oh gosh, we need a mic closer to you. Pull that mic closer by the neck. Hold it like a snake. That's it. Let's pull it by the neck. That's it. How you doing, Maisha?
I'm good, thank you.
Yeah. Oh goodness. Yes. Round of applause for you. Oh yes. How you doing? How you feeling this morning?
Good, excited, pumped up. I'm really looking forward to being here today.
I want to ask you a question. Are you a morning person?
No.
You're not?
No, I'm not. But for the breakfast show, I am. So.
I just looked over at Kat like, does she have a friend? The Kat's come a long way, actually. She functions well. Yeah, so you're not a morning person? No. All right, well, you know what? Not everybody's a morning person, but I must say you've done well so far. You traveled all the way from South London to get here today, and it's great to have you with us. Now, today is going to be a very interesting story that we have from you today, and it's going to be, I think it's quite a powerful story, and it's about turning a negative into a positive brand in life, right? And it's going to be amazing, guys, because there are so many things that people can actually go through. I actually have quite a few statistics this morning. I have a few statistics because you're gonna tell us basically how you turn your negative into a positive. We're gonna get a bit of background and tell us the steps you took to make that change. I don't know if you're part of the VYG, the Victory Youth Group of the Help Center, and you've told your story many times. But today we're going to be touching on obviously to have an idea of where you're coming from, but we're going to be having a look today to see how she started to build this brand, because I see you everywhere.
Somebody at the door.
There's somebody else. It's Deborah. Hey. Deborah's like, hey, how you doing, Deborah? Oh gosh, your theme tune's playing. I'm gonna let you settle in. All right. I'll let you settle in. All right. We're gonna get the show on the road now, okay? Because we like to play around a lot on the breakfast show. It's the morning time. It's just the morning vibe, and Deborah's gonna organize this. It's just lovely.
I'm getting there.
Yes, absolutely. I believe in you. All right. So look, guys. So we're gonna get started now. But here's the interesting thing. Right? We got a few statistics here. Basically, concerning the subject matter of ACE, if I got it right, because I've been having to learn up the whole subject, because when we're talking about turning a negative to a positive, you went through all kinds of craziness in your life. Every kind of craziness that a child can go through, you've been through, and you're going to touch on it today so people can have an idea where you're coming from, because it gives you credibility to talk, to say, look, I know where I'm coming from, and this is, and we can do some stuff, you know what I mean? And so we have some very interesting information here from our friends here, and basically they're looking at the prevalence and impact of adverse childhood experiences. All right, so basically we've got this on the screen. So this was actually some statistics that were put together, or some information, actually a document that was put together by a gentleman called, I believe his name is Derek, if I recall properly. So much information in a short time. So basically Derek Hayes, basically the basis of the much work in the UK and internationally on adverse childhood experiences, they call them ACEs, is drawn from a 1997 US study by CDC CASA on childhood traumas. And so basically what they found is that 80% of children in need of help and protection in England who are recording as having at least one of these ACEs. So one of these ACEs could be abuse, one of these ACEs could be neglect, and all the things that fall in between those types of situations. So if a child has at least 4 of them, it could impact other areas of their life. It could impact their health as well as, cognitively as well. So it's amazing. It's amazing. So I've heard about the child protection policy and all these different types of things, but it's amazing how young people, young adults, children, just having a few of these ACDs, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, household challenges, domestic violence, substance abuse, mental illness, parental separation, divorce, incarcerated parents, or even if your parent went into prison, neglect, emotional neglect, physical neglect, all these different factors basically has an impact on the child's well-being, as we know we would. A negative environment is going to produce its results, but 80% of people have at least 4 of them. They found in the UK, and we're not even talking abroad. And some places up in Africa. Sorry, Kat? Who said howdy? That's spooky. Was it the song? No, the song's never done that before. But that's what I'm saying. So imagine on a global scale. So these different things are happening to young children, and I know sometimes it can be related to how our upbringing is. I mean, I've actually got a video here, TikTok shock, I want to show you guys. Basically of a young man making fun. He's got a nice little head wrap on, a headscarf on, and he's speaking about dealing with his parent. All right, dealing with his parent. And now we're not making light of the challenges that people go through, but basically things that were considered normal. I'm a 1980s kid, all right, and 1980s children. I don't know. I think there's a bit more of a resilience to our generation than the younger generation, but there was stuff that was happening that parents could have been arrested. Yeah, but it wasn't a big deal during those times. So have a look at this. Have a look at this.
Oh dear.
So this is satire.
My dad literally beat me so bad, like my skeleton was showing. It was like exposed, bald. I'm crying, telling him I'm about to call the police, and then guess what?
What?
He picks up the phone and says, "I'll call them for you."
He knows that one.
And then every morning before I brush my teeth, my mom would tase me. Every night after I brush my teeth, my dad come home, beat my ass. And if they had time on their lunch break, they come, drive up to my school, pull me out of class, beat my ass in front of the entire school faculty. And I deserved it though. What you do? I rolled my eyes this one morning before my daily electrocution. Word.
Yeah. So sorry, there's some, I needed to double check that a little bit. But anyway, the point was that he was making fun out of it, but that's how he grew up. Yeah. But there are a medley of things, and there's some behaviors that actually affect young adults. Hence why we have so many statistics, why there's a lot of mental health problems nowadays. I mean, would you agree?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And you know what's beautiful about your story is that you managed to turn things around and rise above it. So I'm really excited about that. So I've actually got a video that I want to share with everybody. All right, and this video is about Maisha.
Oh.
Yeah, it's about you, Maisha. Yeah, Maisha, it's about you. It's I mean, there's so much content of you on the internet. It's amazing. I don't know how you did it. Yeah. It's like so much. So this is a little clip that I think it was Wolvenstore that put it together. Yeah, and it's about you, Maisha. Check this out.
Oh, yeah.
Wandsworth, that's it. Maisha Sumah.
Maisha has overcome adversity in her life, including domestic abuse, and now spends her time helping and empowering others. A member of the local Violence Against Women and Girls Forum, Maisha is an award-winning mental health advocate, delivering talks and taking part in events in the Houses of Parliament and City Hall to create the change she and survivors want to see. She is a mental health first aider and a youth mentor, as well as volunteering at the Tooting Food Bank, where she speaks to people about their mental health. She organises events and workshops to help people with their professional development, mental health awareness and leadership skills, has raised funds for women's shelters and has been a tireless advocate for safe places where women and young people can feel comfortable and secure. One of her many nominees said, "She showed care to those who felt depressed and hopeless and inspired them and lifted them up. Wandsworth wouldn't be Wandsworth without Maisha. Everyone knows her for her smile, passion and dedication. She's truly remarkable."
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow.
Very impressive.
We haven't gone into it yet, but just to see, just for you to have an idea who we're dealing with here. The mayor of Wandsworth said Maisha has supported some of the most vulnerable people in our borough, and her skill, dedication, and tireless hard work makes such a difference to everyone around her. It's an absolute honor to show her how much her efforts are appreciated by me, the council, and the whole of Wandsworth. So we're going to go into a story right now, right? And also we're going to hear about the new docu-movie that we got coming up at the end of the month.
Yes.
My gosh, you got a lot.
Yeah. A lot coming up. Yes.
And you see, right now, she's just giving me like one syllable words up until this point. You know why? Do you know why? Because once you get started, the roller coaster just goes. And so we're gonna set it up. We're talking about turning a negative into a positive brand. Just to show you just one more time, just a few statistics that we have coming up. This was from Darren Hines. Some information drawn from the 1997 US study of CDC case on childhood traumas that they done recently in the UK. And they found out that ACEs can be different types of experiences that young children have, which included the different abuses: emotional, physical, sexual abuse, household challenges like domestic violence, substance abuse, show on the screen. And,
I don't know which one you're talking about.
That one, yeah, that one there. All right. Parental
trauma.
separation, divorce, in a parent being sent to prison, neglect, emotional neglect, physical neglect, and basically 1 in 8 of the population have more than 4 of these ACEs. All right. And usually it can affect their health. It can affect the mental cognitive ability, social and emotional cognitive impairment, disruption in neurodevelopment, adverse childhood experiences can cause all of these things, including early death. All right, so there's a lot of, when you look at the research, when you look at the numbers, 4 or more ACEs, they say that 3 times the levels of lung disease and adult smoking, 14 times the number of suicide attempts. Just with these different situations. But the great thing is that you've been able to turn this statistic upside down, Maisha, and you're doing such an amazing work today. So amongst all the great things that we're hearing about you've done, just give us an idea of what you've got going on right now, and then we're going to hear what you've come from.
Yeah. So in terms of my premiere, or just in general?
what you've achieved so far, just to kind of give us an idea of where we're at, and then we're gonna go where we're coming from, because we have listeners who are listening now, and they're gonna hear where you're coming from, and they might not be able to hear where you are at today, if you know what I mean. And I've got my list here, but I'm gonna let you fire first. Go ahead.
So my name is Maisha Sumah. Thank you so much for having me on the breakfast show. I'm really looking forward to being here today. A bit about me. I am an international multi-award winning speaker. I am also the youngest expert representative within the NHS around being a mental health expert. I've also been listed within the 50th most inspiring black woman in the UK. I'm also the founder of a brand called She Walks in Value, which is all about getting women and girls to find their value, to invest in it, and to walk in it. I also sit on different youth boards and have delivered talks in corporate places such as Uber, American Express, and Parliament, where I've been awarded, and my brand and the work that I've done has won over about 20 plus awards. So
Wow.
and then some exciting stuff coming up. I'm traveling to Iceland this week to meet the president and to go to their parliament and to meet other first ladies, presidents, and people within that field for a conference. So I'm really looking forward to that big step in my career. I've also been invited to Buckingham Palace this year to be recognised for my work and the work I've done to support survivors that are and have experienced sexual violence, for instance. And I've also been awarded by the British Royal Family for my community work. So quite a few awards, public speaking, and then I've also done like frontline case work where you get to work direct and forward with survivors. So like talking for a good cause, basically, in a nutshell.
You've been everywhere.
Yeah.
You've been even in the House of Lords.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, you've been everywhere prominent, and that's amazing. But now here's the big question. All right, you're on the pursuit of success journey, you know, and by the grace of God, you got many more years ahead of you. I mean, you got things you're organizing today, so it's great to have you on the show this morning. But where did Maisha come from? So we're talking about turning a negative into a positive brand. Where did Maisha actually come from? Tell us a bit about how you started off.
Yeah, so I'm West African. I'm from Sierra Leone. So I grew up in Sierra Leone for part of my life.
So this is you on the screen here.
Yeah. And
Oh, so cute.
Beautiful smile.
yeah, but actually, so that picture, people see it and they find it really lovely. I love it too, but that's actually the refuge camp. So that I grew up in. Yeah. So
which country?
In the Netherlands.
Okay.
So I'm originally from Sierra Leone. I'm around about 8 to 9 months. There was the war that was happening. So there's a lot about it that you can research around the war that was happening around diamonds. And then my mum was explaining that I was literally on her hip as she was going through the bullets and how
your mum's in that picture here.
Yeah, so that's my mum.
Wow.
And
She's pretty.
Yeah, she is, isn't she? Yeah.
How old was she at this age?
I'm not too sure.
She looks about like 21 or 19.
Yeah, I'm not
She
sure.
looks
I
young.
think she was a bit probably older because she had my younger brother, I think maybe around 20. So
Okay.
I think she was probably close to maybe in between that 20 maybe to 30 maybe.
Okay, wow.
I think, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, we fled the war. We survived. Because, you know, when war happens, there's loads of different violences that happen, etc. And my mum had to literally flee with us through the soldiers and everything to be able to get to another country, which was the Netherlands. So I grew up there. And as you could see, so I was an asylum seeker. We grew up as a refuge in the refuge home with other people that were also fleeing war. So we were there, and that's why I was growing up, etc. Then we had moved to a different part in the Netherlands where we was now finally given some accommodation to actually stay in. And where I grew up, it was quite like a village in the Netherlands, and it was kind of like on the borderline of where Germany is because of the borders that we had to go through. And growing up there, things started off quite well because, again, when I look at that picture, it was only one day. I think this year is when I realized, and I was like, wait, that's a picture of me, you know, in front of a refuge camp. Like, it wasn't something that I had processed that on my days I'm actually an asylum seeker. And that's part of my story. It's only something that I touched in with this year when I went back to the Netherlands to visit for the first time after we fled. So growing up there, unfortunately, just a few trigger warnings, I ended up being sexually abused as a child from the age of 5.
Wow.
And that had an impact on how I saw myself. So from a very young age, I became very overly sexualized with how I would see things and how I would see myself. And that experience of being constantly sexually abused by like a family close friend had an impact on how I saw myself, which led to me also having experiences in primary school where my body was being violated. And then I also experienced a lot of racism because I was black. So I was like the only black girl, for instance, in my school, which as a child, you don't look at that because it's not something you're focused on. You might focus on someone has this doll or someone has these shoes, but you don't focus on color. But unfortunately, it was made very clear that I'm different to them. So people
So I can imagine you felt really isolated.
because people wouldn't want to sit with me.
Hey, just a quick interruption. I know you're enjoying the show, but don't forget, if you haven't already, robustly smash the like and subscribe button. Do it now! Do it now!
just because of my skin color. So people would like compare me to things that were black but that were negative, so like a monkey, like a gorilla, or would spit towards you, or would just isolate you just because you're black. So for me, I became very insecure. So it was like when I was at home, again being abused by this close family friend, and then also when you go to school, there's no love there because you're being treated in a way. And it was so much so that even with my mum, they were saying to her that I would make the white kids feel a bit insecure about their studies because I'm black and I'm clever at what I do, because I grew up wanting to be a doctor. And because I was very shy and I'm more confident, I'm more outspoken, I can talk from today for the whole of England. But before, I was very quiet. It was literally me and my books, and that, you know, was my comfort at that time.
So when you say you in your book, so you in terms of your studying, so you was isolated, people weren't accepting you, so you dove more into your books.
Exactly.
So did that impact you positively academically?
It did at first, but then because of the violence I was witnessing at home, so like the statistics that you shared, so I grew up in an abusive household as well. So my dad, the first incident I saw my dad, he locked my mum in the basement and she had a plastic bag covering her face and her hands were tied, and it was like a yellow see-through bag, so you could see her eyes and they were like red. So I remember like walking in and seeing that, and he was like physically abusive, even to the point when she was pregnant, he like had pushed her over to like fall on ice. So it was like I would come home, so I started developing depression, anxiety, panic attacks. I would see things at night, etc. And when I went to school, I used to have really bad panic attacks. Because,
so this is all at a young age. This is
from between the age of 5 till I don't know how old, but until I basically got to primary, like the end of primary school. So
this is you in your school uniform.
Yeah, so this is secondary school.
And so this is you in secondary school. So this is you in your what?
Yeah.
And so you've already got all of this burden, all this weight on you.
Yeah.
At home, at school, you're carrying all of this negative energy for a young person by them, and your mum's got her own issues, because I know what it's like when you have your parents having their own issues, so they can't really help you, and if they do try to reach out, it's usually a negative way because they're fighting their own fight as well, which can happen.
So it was really heavy, because even at that point, this is when we had fled to the UK. So being in 11ers, like I mentioned, you're experiencing racism, bullying, I'm being sexually abused, I'm having nightmares, I'm having panic attacks, because I'm concerned that if I come home, my mom's going to be dead, because of the interactions that we saw between my mom and my father that led to her almost being murdered. So we didn't have like a bedtime story. Our story was make sure that you go into the kitchen and make sure that all the cutlery is hidden from your dad so he doesn't stab your mom in her sleep. So we witnessed a lot of that, hearing sexual abuse like at night, having to sleep in the living room. And it was so bad that because my dad would use all the money on turning it back home or like on smoking and
so alcohol. There was a lot of neglect that was on the list as well.
We didn't have electricity. Like we would have to light candles or have to go to the neighbors to be able to have a shower or hot food. So
so this went on into your teens. And what kind of behavior did you have in your teens?
I was very rebellious. When we fled because of the abuse, and my father was almost trying to murder our mum. We had to flee.
Wasn't there signs that he cared about her, that he obviously when they got together, wasn't there any signs of that, or did he just switch? Or
I was quite young. Now I have a lot more awareness, so it's easier for me to be able to detect these things.
That's right.
Whereas then
he looked like he was just a monster.
Yeah, like you wouldn't even see. So, for example, whenever my cousins would come over or people from outside would come, they would see that, they would actually envy us and be like, you guys are a happy family. You have your father present.
Yeah.
But it was only when my mom had given birth to my little brother, he wasn't paying attention because I think it's the midwife or someone that comes after you've given birth. Yeah. And she started to see signs that something wasn't right. But even if my mom tried to leave, which is the case, like it takes a woman 7 times to be able to leave an abusive relationship or marriage, he would threaten to slit her throat, or if there's social workers at the door, he would have a knife against her throat and be like, it's either
just bear in mind this is a family show.
Okay, so but literally
I know you do your talks. I just bear that in mind. It sounds very strong. So and I know as a teen as well, so you suffered that type of abuse as well.
Exactly, So I, unfortunately, because what happens is you say that you are not going to end up being like what you've seen, but it's easy to say, but if you don't actually make the choices to turn that around, you become a product of your environment. So
I like what you said, that if you don't make the choices to put your feet in the ground and say this is the direction we're going in. Very interesting.
Exactly. So when we had moved from the Netherlands to the UK, I started hanging around with the wrong friendship groups. Again, I didn't want to get bullied because my English wasn't the best at the time, because it wasn't my first language. So I think that fear of not wanting to be bullied, wanting to be outcasted by people again, I tried to fit in with people that looked like they were popular, that would get in all of the attention. And that just led to me making the wrong choices and just being angry all the time. Where I just had an uncontrollable anger that was like a result of everything that I had bottled in from the household. And then I was partying, suffering with depression, just really in a dark place mentally and emotionally. And then unfortunately I got into an abusive relationship around 16, 17. And for me that was a shock, because I always said I'm not going to be like that. I grew up very almost like those people that say they hate all men and all guys are trash and all these times. So I was really like that because of what I'd witnessed in my own house and then outside with guys, etc. And I think that situation was the worst, but that was my turning point to where I was able to establish who I am today through God, which is my foundation as a Christian. But yeah, it was really, really difficult because I think also just being in school and just people treating you like you're a lost cause was really difficult, because it's like if people in your own household at that time don't have the capacity to believe in you, but then people in your school or your friendship groups also let you down, it's like, where do you turn to? Which I only found hope when I came to the Victory Youth Group.
Wow, that's
sorry,
deep.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
It's just because I'm just thinking about everything that you went through. You know, you truly are strong. You are, and I'm thinking you're definitely the chosen one, because when you think about people in the Bible that were so ill-treated, even like Joseph, he was ill-treated by his family and he went through so many different things. But when thinking about what you've been saying, I think it's good that you had that ability to sink into your studies, because sometimes it can go the other way, can't it? Because then, people, they don't want to study, they start taking drugs and so forth. So you had something, at least you sunk yourself into your studies. That was like your outlet.
I think the challenge is that I think when you become a teenager, you get more freedom. Right? You get more freedom. You can walk on the street by yourself, and no one has to hold your hand, and then you could end up anywhere, right? You got older people who have the same freedoms, choosing a negative lifestyle, and imagine if you connect with those people, you're someone who had no intention of doing those things, then you start mixing with those people as well.
And your trauma makes you more mature, so naturally you attract people that are more older, and they tend to exploit you as well, because they realize that even though you act more mature, they know you still have that development, but you didn't have that as a child because you spent your childhood in survival mode. So unfortunately, that was my experience in a nutshell with the mental health that I was going through, the ill mental health, and then the insecurities, the lack of self-belief, and just not feeling like I could even speak out, because for a very long time I felt like I didn't have a voice, because that was silenced in my childhood. So it was like I didn't know how to communicate. I wasn't mature in that way. I was mature in terms of doing the wrong things, but when it came to having that maturity to be able to control your emotions, to be able to communicate how you feel instead of outbursting, that I lacked maturity in. I wasn't mature in that aspect of things.
And people who see it on the outside will probably say, "Oh, just a child playing up." Right? People, they'll just look at you and say, "Oh, this child's playing. This child has no manners, etc." They're just playing up. And I think this is an important lesson for all of us. We don't know what a child is going through. No child is brought up to be violent or to have certain behaviors. So we really have to be like a big village, looking out for signs, to give support to those children, because children can't speak up for themselves.
Not always. They don't always have the confidence, like what you said, that you felt you were silenced. And I think when growing up, people are taught to children to be seen and not heard, and that's the thing. Or then when you try to speak up, they say, "Oh, this child is disrespectful."
Yeah.
You're talking back, but you're just trying to express yourself, but you didn't have that chance at the time to really express yourself.
Exactly.
And even like in your household, like what you were saying, you went out to find that security, that
Exactly.
network, that family environment that you were not receiving at home.
Yeah.
So I can see how easily it was for you to go out there, because if I mean, your mother had her situations,
Yeah.
and you know she was going through her own thing. But if you had that security, like with somebody, like a parent would say, Maisha, like, listen, everything's going to be all right. You know, actively trying to help you. And I'm sure that your mum had that intention in her, but as what Robert was saying, she's coping with her own things,
exactly,
and
yeah.
she, as much as she wanted to do it, she didn't even know how. She probably like living day to day, wondering if it's going to be my last day.
Exactly
And
that.
that's that's the trauma she was going through. So that's why she couldn't help you.
Yeah.
But it's good that you broke the cycle.
Yeah,
Thank God.
definitely.
Thank
Yeah,
God.
because where she could, I remember like she would take us to a bench and she would just promise us, because we know we didn't know again what to say, and it was just tears, and she could tell, like, as a mother, now I'm much older, I'm not a mother myself yet, but you know, like, just having to make a phone call, because I went back to the Netherlands this year and walked past the places where we used to go in the park, etc. And I remember I was sitting there and I was just like, wow, like my mom couldn't even have a phone call in the house. She would have to go outside. And even when she took us, remember, she just had a newborn baby, which is my little brother, my older brother, my younger sister, and me, and herself. And she fled with us to the UK. So the strength that she has is so remarkable, because like when I was in an abusive relationship as a teenager, it was just myself. I had to get out of that relationship. But as a mother, having your children, a newborn child, financially not in the best place, fleeing to another country to give your children safety, and that's risky, because whenever a woman tries to leave in an abusive relationship, like more time they don't make it out safe. But the fact that she took that risk for her children, it's just remarkable to see her strength, just to see how much she tried to encourage us, despite, you know, the choices that she was involved in, unfortunately, but still trying to give us a better life by taking us again on the hip from Sierra Leone to a different country that was also a war that wasn't just outside but in our home, but then being able to take us out of the war in that household in the Netherlands to the UK to provide, to give us a better life. So
So there's a powerful resilience there.
Yes,
And you know, we're cutting your story short, because you're like, if you're attending one of Maisha's meetings or talks, it goes in. This lady was thrown off a 24th floor tower block, right? Almost killed, all these types of things, everything you can imagine. If we looked at the chart of all the things that the ACEs that children have gone through, you went through all of that. But yet today you can speak confidently about your story. But not only that, not only have you just moved on, but you've actually become a brand. And literally you've become a brand for yourself that's encouraging and supporting boroughs. That's amazing.
Yes, it
We are asking the question this morning in our morning coffee question.
How does growing up with trauma or in a negative environment define someone's future?
All right.
Does growing up with trauma or in a negative environment define someone's future?
Okay, have your say. So we heard how we've got Maisha's story here, what she has actually been through. All right, so she's been through so much, witnessing domestic violence in her household, emotional trauma from her mother, sexual abuse by a close family friend, racial bullying, discrimination at school, insomnia, depression. Like, the list is in there. You've got the whole list. So like, you know, we're going to hear we're going to hear the next part of your story, but we've got a comment here from Neil Priscilla over in Botswana. And Neil Priscilla says, definitely it does. It does affect you. Trauma and negative environment indeed defines someone's future. A child's mind easily absorbs or gets what's happening to him or her recorded, and it's not easily erased. One can be healed from that, yes, but there will always have some traits of fear here and there. What are your thoughts on that response?
Yeah, exactly. I think it does affect you, but you only let it define you for as long as you allow it to. I think for most of my journey, it did shape me. It customized how I think, my behavior, my limits on how much I believed in myself. But when I got to a point of understanding that it no longer has to define or be my story anymore, then it is possible to change things. You always find things out about yourself. It's a journey, right? But you at least get to a point where you've overcome. So you always still find out that, oh, maybe you have a certain behavior or a certain thought because that stemmed from childhood, but you always overcome it. So you always learn, but you at least overcome, and that no longer defines you. That's what
I love that. I love that. So it's a work, right?
Yeah.
Because some people can think that, you know what, I've been through years of this. All these different habits are in me. So in one day, I'm going to be completely erased.
Yeah.
And for sure, I believe with faith, everything is possible. But being human beings as we are, like I think Neo said, we do have thoughts, we do have memories, we do have things that we do based on what we've been through, innit? Being in survival mode, right? So it's interesting. Even like on Thursday, we have Relationship Power Thursday on the Breakfast Show. And, we speak about how relationships, things that have happened to us previously, our previous experiences, even abuse. A person could be full of the Holy Spirit, but unless they realize, wait, this can actually affect me in my relationship, they will pull away from their partner until they address it, like you said. So that's very interesting.
Yeah,
very, very interesting. We've got something there in the live chat, Debs?
Okay, yeah. All right. Okay, so Sharina Hyman said that she studied psychology.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
Youth and childhood studies. So she finds this a very interesting topic. So
Ooh,
something that
nice.
she can understand. So that's
Wow,
from
wow,
Sharina Hyman. And then she's there saying that it's like she loves your testimony. Neo Priscilla said good morning. Gabby said thank you for clarifying about the public speaking. And yes, you went and jumped forward.
Yeah. That one from
Yeah.
Sharina Hyman, that was a good catch. I missed that one.
Yes.
What about Angel?
All right, so Angel says, TBH.
To be honest.
Yeah, to be honest, it does temporarily define someone until someone is able to realize they're not a victim but a survivor. And once that mentality kicks in, then that trauma won't affect that person anymore. Yeah, it has to be a conscious decision. And David says, no cause, all things you can go through, like from bullying in school to DJ weddings, like I'm going through. So I think that she's just talking about the things that
you can push through it.
Yeah.
Because obviously bullying can affect your confidence.
Yes,
big
it
time.
can. It can.
Big time. And if you don't have good support anywhere, it can mess you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like what you said, it's a choice. And sometimes it's good when you can have mentors in schools as well, because they can, and a lot of them, and studying psychology, if you have those mentors or the counselors in school, they can pick up on things.
Exactly.
And that's where they're supposed to come in and be the advocate for the person, saying, don't let this thing define you. You are special. You can be the person that you want to be. But if you're told, oh, you know what, you're never going to get over this.
Yeah.
This is your life.
I remember my teacher. You'd be lucky even if you get a pass.
Is that what they said?
Yeah. I remember you, miss. Then guess what happened?
How you like me now?
Then guess what happened? Over the 6 weeks holiday, I went away, received the Holy Spirit, and I came back as somebody else.
Yeah.
And then she was like, of course, I only said it to motivate you.
Yeah.
Anywho,
Wickedness.
I'm sure everyone's got a teacher like that. Answering with a response to the morning coffee question, we have my niece Tatiana. Let's have a look to see what she has to say.
Morning breakfast show family. I am
look at you.
Tatiana, and I'm here to answer the question: does trauma or growing up in a negative environment define someone's future? If I misworded that, Uncle Robert, I'm sorry. So my uncle asked me to help answer this question because, unfortunately, when I was a little kid, the day after my birthday, I got burnt by fire. And at the time, I sincerely believed that my life was over and that was it. Because I'd never heard of someone or never been around a person that had burns, especially as severe as mine. So for me, life was over. And it wasn't until I started to come to the youth group where I was told that my accident and what I had been through does not define me as a person.
So new instructions.
And being in spaces to be able to use what has happened to me and like research stuff in parliament. Like, it's weird when you have your physiotherapist saying I go to burns conferences and they see pictures of me and I'm thinking, but it doesn't define you. It's what you choose to do with what has happened to you. And I believe Maisha, if you didn't know, we knew each other in school, has done the exact same thing. Like, fun story quickly. She actually, when the girl made fun of my bands, she actually was the person that was going to Like, if you don't know what butt is, she's gonna bite her. And I think when we reconnected in youth group, I think I asked her, or it got brought up somehow. I don't know if she remembers this, yeah. And she's like, you know what, Tati? I'd do it again. That's what she said. They made me laugh, and I was like, wow, like this girl is like, you know. So thank you for having me here. Hope everyone has a good morning, and I'm out because I got kids to teach. So yeah, bye-bye.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, I wouldn't fight again. I would stand up for you though. Just put it out there.
He said, I got you.
Absolutely. So, I mean, so what we're seeing from today's morning coffee question is that a negative environment can have an impact on you. By the same token, we have the power to change it. We can change, and it doesn't mean we don't have to. We have to acknowledge that there are things that have been altered in us, and we can work on it to overcome it, right?
Yeah.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode of the program. We have a lot more episodes covering a lot more themes on The Breakfast Show. And guess what? Your experience can be even deeper and more interactive because we are live weekdays from Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on libertyradio.co.uk. On that Liberty Radio platform, we have a whole host of other inspirational material. As well as that, we have our breakfast show in the mornings. Check it out. There's a live chat, there's a video feed, and you can get up to date on all the breakfast show antics and fun, vim, excitement, and all that kind of crazy stuff that we love to enjoy. This is Robbie here, Robust Presenter, and I hope to see you live and enjoy the next one.